I was just looking for an easy out. Nope. Hi. How's love doing today? Yeah. Yeah. Let me take it in. Take yourselves in. Yesterday, we had an incredible celebration of Karen Coffey's life, and it was carried with such beautiful readings and prayers and song and heart and love. And they left the love behind. Huh. They left it here. They took it with them, and they left so much more here. So we fill the halls with that love, and I have the privilege to speak into that love today. And one of the things that I'm supposed to try to share with you today, we're looking at the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind textbook. They are the principal teachings, the foundation of this whole philosophy. So if you're ever curious, there's the library over here that has Science of Mind textbooks, and open it up and understand where Ernest Holmes launches his amazing thoughts from. And Reverend David spoke last week about, what is this idea of God? What is spirit? And the invitation for you is to recognize that for yourself, because the words can't come from me up here to try to tell you what your God is. And then today I'm invited to share with you what it is, how it works. How does this work? But before I go there, there's a couple of things that I wanted to share before I launch into that and get lost in my own thoughts. One, we have a special guest here today, Reverend Tara. And I heard she's here. There she is, right back there. And I'm going to throw her a God challenge. And when I close my talk, Tara, if you could be so willing to bring your voice for the closing treatment, I would so appreciate that. Your friends here would love to hear your reverendship. So. So, and the other thing I wanted to share was the whole theme for the year is the idea of living our true values, right? And our authentic values. And I wanted to share, he speaks very rapidly, and I realize this because I've watched this little clip, and this is our founder, our founder. Yeah, I brought him back from the dead. Aren't I great? It is our spiritual leader, Dr. Ken Gordon. And he launches his January 1st talk, just a clip. Each one of the centers is using these value-based living as their ideas for the whole year. And we're all being a piece of that, every center. So we have one thread of thought going through all the Sunday talks. So it's a wonderful idea. Yet, when you think of value-based living, it can seem a little bit sticky and dry. And his invitation, it's towards the end, so get into his rapid speech, and then, because he's from Canada, and he's got such a delightful way of presenting, but at the very last moment, he'll share why we're doing this. So if I could have you go ahead and start that, and close your eyes, listen very deeply for what you need to hear.
Hi. I'm so excited. This is the 2017 theme that we're rolling out this year on the value-based living. And the first Sunday is by myself, January 1st, which I doubt seriously very many of us will actually use because we have got our own little celebrations that we keep in mind for this time of year. But my theme is, how do you live a value-based life? I'll share with you honestly is that this teaching, in my opinion, is a core value of authentic being. That it's all about being authentic and true. And to do that, it's important that we learn what our values are and that we live to our values so that we can express them in the world around us. When we do that, what we find is that we attract into our lives and into our experiences everything that's required in order for us to be able to be real in the world around us. Authentic living doesn't mean authentic to what we think we are or who we think we are. It means being authentic to our own core truth, who we really are, which is the individualization of God. A true estimate of real values cannot be built on the shifting sands of time alone. In the long run, the merciful will obtain mercy. In the long run, we shall reap as we have sown. Which for me really indicates that when we live our lives from our authentic being, what happens is we reap back into our experience that which is required for us to be the best and the greatest that we can be. The desire you have to be something, to do something, is a mental echo in your mind of the spirit which already exists within you. It is an impact of your divine and spiritual self upon your mental or psychological self. It is the spirit in you seeking an avenue of expression through you. It is the real self you would like to be, the deep spiritual self, having all knowledge, having access to all power, being one with life. This is the self that can heal the sick and raise the dead. It is a transcendent, triumphant self. When we talk about how to live a values-based life, what we're talking about is how to be authentic.
So thank you for listening. The invitation for you this year through all of our messages and all that we want to share and do in community together is to raise that bar, to clear the debris of old thinking, old habits, old beliefs, and to be the authentic self. And when we answer that call, when we ask, what am I to do? When we answer that and we stand in integrity to that, we make a difference in our world and we become the peace and the joy and the love that we are longing to witness through the chaos that we're experiencing sometimes out in our world. So the way it works, the second chapter of Ernest Holmes and textbook Science of Mind. And so I wanted to share, we understand this idea that it is done unto you as the key word there, as you believe, and that thoughts become things. And how does this work? Well, it's carried on the wings of love. It's carried and makes manifest on the wings of love. And that indwelling presence within you, which we already know God is, since we were small souls, we've been seekers, knowing, longing to have union and recognition, understanding of what God is. And those of you that have found your way here are truly on a path of revelation, evolution, and understanding and awakening to what that really truly means. For as God is, you are. So if it's just done unto us as we believe, if we think a thought, therefore it should be so, then why do we find ourselves sometimes in areas of struggle? What do we keep blindly bumping into those walls? So in this talk right now, I'm going to share a little bit about that. And my first little story comes from Anthony DeMello, and he shares this wisdom. It's called The Formula. The mystic was back from the desert. Tell us, they said, what God is like. But how could he ever tell them what he experienced in his heart? How can any of us ever tell anyone truly, truly what's in our heart? We try to put words of what love is, how we long to embrace one another. Those are hard words to find, and it shows up through our actions most often. But how could he ever tell them what he experienced in his heart? Can God be put into words? But he decided to finally give them a formula, so it was so inaccurate, so inadequate, in the hope that some of them might be tempted to experience it for themselves. Well, they seized upon the formula. They made it a sacred text. They imposed it on others as a holy belief. They went to great pains to spread it in the foreign lands. Some even gave up their lives for it. And the mystic was sad. It might have been better if he had said nothing. And that's what happens. That's what happens, isn't it? When we get so excited when we see the world and our perception of it, and we just eagerly go out and share it, and it's not always met with welcomed hearts. And so we kind of go, oh, I'll take that back. So that was one of the stories, and there's another very clever story from Leonard Jacobson. But before I share that, because there is this absolute idea, so you can make it a holy text and take it, spread it around the world. I'm fine with that because that's what Ernest Holmes did with this thought. And it comes from the very first few paragraphs of the second chapter. So it is done unto us as you believe, right? And so sometimes we suffer, not because that suffering is imposed upon us, but because we are ignorant of our own true nature. And our thought and our emotion is the use we make, consciously or unconsciously, of this original creative thing that is the cause behind everything. Therefore, we shall say that the mind, the spirit, and the intelligence which we find in ourselves is as much of this original creative God as we can understand. And so you're all sitting there going, I'm pretty good at understanding. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty clear today. I'm pretty awake. But I invite you to look at the times when we feel that we're in the shadows, that we're in sometimes the darkness. And Martin Luther King shares this: if we are to go forward, we must go back and rediscover those precious values, that all reality hinges on moral foundations and that all reality has spiritual control. We are in control of our life, our spiritual world, our thoughts, our mind, our heart. So the invitation, Martin Luther King says, the time is right now. It's right now to do what's right. So with these invitations of these wisdoms of Ernest Holmes and Martin Luther King, listen to what gets in our way from Leonard Jacobson in this thought, the early childhood programming of the mind. Now, I visualized myself coming up here with a big whiteboard and having this whole complicated idea that was unfolding in my mind this morning at 3 o'clock. And I thought, I'll just let them use their mind on that, because I could have you here for several hours going through my whiteboard idea. But listen to this. First of all, the early childhood programming of your mind. So we're saying, how does it work? What is this that is creating my life experience? Know that it is based in love. And love has compassion and empathy and forgiveness forever flowing through it. That's what my understanding of love is. So when we have a thought and then we're trying to manifest the thing itself, whatever that might be, say abundance in your world, and yet you open the mail and there's another bill that you were unexpected, or you have a mishap, an accident that you're the cause of and you have to pay, whatever it is, a setback. And so you look at that setback, your heart contracts, and the container of good becomes a little bit smaller because of a belief system that you're imprinting upon this formula. As you think and as you believe and as you apply the emotions of your heart into that, it is demonstrated unto you. So here is a list of some of the more common beliefs about yourselves, others in life, that may have been programmed in your mind at early childhood. And they might still be unconsciously floating in the stream of your consciousness. So, which one of these belongs to you? I'm not wanted, I'm not loved. I'm not lovable, I'm not accepted. I'm not good enough, I can't do it. I'm all alone. I'm separate. I'm abandoned. I can't depend on others. I have to do it on my own. It's not safe to trust. I have to be in control. It's not safe to relax. Nobody understands me. Nobody listens to me. I don't count. Now don't take these on if they're not yours, okay? I'm starting to watch people diminish. I'm feeling little bubbles go poop, 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 all through here. It's not safe to speak out. I can't say no. There's one of mine. I can't ask for what I want. I don't have what I want. I'm a nuisance. There must be something wrong with me. I can't cope. I'm not safe. Life isn't safe. Oh, it's all my fault. I'm to blame. No, wait a minute. It's their fault. They're to blame. I'm stuck. I'm trapped. I don't want to be here. It's not safe to leave, but I don't belong. I don't fit in. It's not safe to show my feelings. I have to hide my feelings. Oh, here's another one of mine. I have to be good. I have to do the right thing. I have to be nice. I must not upset others. I have to hide who I really am. I'm not worthy. I can't trust my own judgments. I can't trust my own feelings. I have to be brave. I have to be strong. That's just to name a few. Any of those resonate? I don't know. So, the most basic idea of, remember, the primary function of our mind is to collate all of these things, identify and compare. Every time, everything that you experience gets logged in. We have a computer-type way of being. It's all logged in, and we're always comparing. And this all occurs at an unconscious level. So we ask, well, how do I deal with it? Well, we show compassion the moment that less than voice ever appears. We turn to it, and we say, that too, I hold compassion for you. I hold compassion for this way of thinking, and it is mine no more. And I choose right here, right now, and you plant a seed of an elevated way of thinking, one that is a God thought, one that is love. And you move from there, because you always have to question yourself, like Byron Katie invites us to do. Always ask the questions. Is this true? Is it absolutely true? And who would I be without this thought? Let that begin to enter the chambers of your heart and the worthiness of your mind to begin to polish and to release these old patterns of thinking. Now, and sometimes we're doing good work and we're doing our processes of all of this. This is what spiritual practice, this is sitting in stillness, this is meditation, this is visualization and visioning, and all the tools, the way we sing, the way we open our heart, the way we go to classes and say, I want to know. I want to know what is in the depth of my being that I have long ago buried and suppressed, that is keeping my container small when I have this opportunity in my life to be huge and big in God's glory, and to allow myself to be the conduit of God. So all of those old things are washed away, and I am so plugged in to the channel of God alone and love alone. And therefore we move forward as ambassadors, living this idea of the authentic self. It is just so powerful to recognize the words that are stopping you from hearing that still small voice of God saying, you may have it all, my beloved child. You may have it all. And so it's such an amazing concept for our heart to open and to embrace and to feel. So when I was thinking about the whiteboard, there it is. We are the summation of our emotions and our thoughts and our beliefs. It's who we are as a personality and a human being. So we have this beautiful thought of world peace, of slowing down, of being. And then we have the equation of all of the little filters of our mind that start to subtract from that, right? So then here we had this idea of great glory down here, but it sort of chipped and it got a little smaller. And we weren't paying attention along the way. So the other thing I want to share with you is the world is amazing at putting right in front of your face what you need to hear. When people say, that's a mirror for you. I told you this before. It really bugged me. But I started realizing the reflection of my world around me through the reflections of what were coming back to me, because I wasn't getting it by reading pretty thoughts, wisdoms of philosophy, going to classes, some things I was not getting. So I was driving down the street. Charlie is so tired of the story because I won't let this person go because I feel so indignant about it. But let me share with you how God works in these beautiful, humorous ways. So I'm leaving. It was after one of our wonderful ministerial meetings on Tuesday. I had some things on my mind and in my heart, and I was driving, and I turned down the street, and right when I get past the little field, I slow down because it's a residential area. So I'm doing just that. It's my side of the story, not the other person's. And there at the mailboxes, you know how people get out and get the mail, there's this really pretty white Prius, a beautiful blonde out there getting her mail. She turns around to me, and she looks at me, and I look over at her, and I'm starting to smile, and her face turned almost like Kali, and tongue went out, and she's going, "Slow down!" Me? I've done something wrong, but I always slow down. Maybe not to your degree of slowing down. And so the whole story in my head started going, what a itch. Back at you, you know? I can do it too. You know, just ugly. I'm driving home going, snort. But I also realized the more that is asked of me, I keep piling it on. And part of me was going through an inner panic of, how am I going to do that? How am I going to take on, I'm going to get emotional here, I don't mean to, but I want our center to shine and survive and move in our community and move into the world. I love us. I have loved us for over 30 years. And Mary and David and I want this church to shine and survive. And so forgive us for the ways that we have been clumsy, insensitive, in error in our ways. And we're going to slow down. We're going to slow down. And we're going to take it in. And remember that what we're teaching here is a powerful philosophy. What we have meant all along is that we love you. And we're sorry sometimes that your heart is hurting, that your lives are challenged, that our way has appeared abrupt or insensitive. Forgive us for our ways. Because deep in the heart of our being, we have sat in stillness and silence. Right, Mary? I turn to Mary as my strength. When I can't see my way, she'll mirror it back to me. She'll tell me. It doesn't always come in a spreadsheet, because I hope it's not that much to deal with. But she tells me the truth. So if we can live a value-based life, if we know that the way it works is through love, then let us tell ourselves truth, right? Let ourselves tell the truth in love, with love. You don't need to do this to other people because they don't ever let it go, you see. And I look for her car every time I go down the street. And I creep along at 5 miles an hour. Is that passive aggressive? Yes. So this beautiful book of Ernest Holmes, Creative Mind and Success, we are reading this in my Prac 2 class. And it says, remember that God is the silent power behind all things, always ready to spring into expression when we have provided the proper channels, which are receptive and positive faith, and the evidence of things not seen with the physical eye, but eternal in the heavens. All is mind, and we must provide a receptive avenue for it as it passes out through us into the outer expression of our affairs. If we allow the world's opinion to control our thinking, so think about that, that's very key. If we're allowing others to control our thinking, when we know in our heart we have the courage and the compassion to speak up, if we allow that, the world's opinion to control our thinking, then that is going to mess up with our demonstrations. But on the other hand, if we rise superior to the world, not in an arrogant way, but in God's glory, just knowing that you are lifted. I think we'll be singing on the wings. Are you singing that soon? Or I heard you guys singing something beautiful that they're going to sing next. But you're lifted, you're carried in that on the wings of love. So let that be your courage when you take flight into this new year and set your intentions and your values to that highest truth. So when we rise superior to the world, we shall do a new thing. We shall do a new thing in our world. And last but not least, if Tara wants to move forward here, from Troward, you want to repeat words, remember, so I'm asking you to look into the consciousness of your mind, and the still small voice always there, the wisdoms of our teaching always there, a friend always there. Repeat the words to yourself that mean something to you, that you can embody, and build up your faith. Build up your faith in this teaching, in one another, in love itself. Only believe, and all things are possible. It is the faith that gives you dominion over every adverse circumstance or condition. It is your word of faith that sets you free, not faith in any specific thing or act, but faith in your best self always, the ever-present creative power within your heart of the word that makes your health, peace of mind, financial conditions, a reproduction of your most habitual thoughts. Try to believe and understand this, and you will find yourself the master of every adverse circumstance or condition, for you will become the prince or princess of power. Hallelujah to that, right? Look who we are. Our hearts are huge. And beloved Tara, share your word. Thank you.
So I am a minister now, so I have to do a mini sermon, which is faith means trusting the words and the actions and the way will always be clear. As an example, she just happened to read one of my favorite passages from Troward. So let's move into that still, sacred space within. That place where we always know there is only one power, one presence, one love. That place where we attend to and focus on truth, good, possibility, knowing that all of that is alive within us, that all of that seeks expression in, through, and as us in every moment. For we are individualized, unique expressions of that sacred good. I know this for myself, I know this for every person in this room and beyond. And so in this truth and this grace, I speak my word. All is well. Each one of us rests in that grace and that light and that wisdom that sees us through whatever comes when we pay attention. That one brings to each of us unconditioned, unconditional love and possibility in each moment that we notice. And so I know for everyone here that we are alive, we are awake, and we are trusting in that truth, that in fact, all is unfolding in grace and ease. There is no place where God is not. Breathing in this truth, I am grateful and I celebrate the reminder of how it works in each and every moment. And together we say, and so it is.